Oh yes, it's good to be back with you once again. As the world grapples with the challenges of climate change, energy security and sustainable development, renewable energy is emerging as a game changer. Our spotlight is on a revolution transforming the way we generate and consume cheap, affordable and clean energy in Nigeria's quest for sustainable development and growing opportunities in this rapidly evolving field. The Rural Electrification Agency, REA, is at the forefront towards making the nation great by harnessing abundant natural resources to enhance power generation and distribution to all nooks and crannies, the rural and unserved areas. This is Reshaping Democracy. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. Now, Nigeria's energy transition plan focuses mainly on reducing fossil fuel and tilting to renewable energy, and is being implemented with great vigor. On the program to answer citizens' questions on our hope for a better future with renewable energy is the Managing Director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abubakar Aliyu.
My name is Shetima Bukar, Managing Director, sir, Rural Electrification Agency. What strategy is the REA, that is Rural Electrification Agency, implementing to scale up the provision of renewable energy projects across Nigeria and Borno in particular? And what are the key focus areas for the next 2 to 3 years?
The Rural Electrification Agency's mandate is to address electricity access gap. The country has the highest number of people that are without this access, and we do that by providing distributed renewable energy, where we deploy infrastructure to communities that do not have this access, deploy the power plant, build distribution network, and connect these communities. Our strategy is very clear. One, we raise funding that we catalyze and work with the private sector to deploy this infrastructure. We also go through the different communities using geospatial mapping to identify these communities that are without this access. Do the design by identifying the number of households that are within this community. What kind of intervention should we deploy to get these communities electrified? Be it isolated mini-grid, interconnected mini-grid, or deploying solar home system. In some instances, we also even extend the grid to provide them with this electricity. Currently, what we are working on is adopting the interconnected mini-grid methodology, also deploying the isolated mini-grids, and also for communities that are sparsely populated, we deploy these solar home systems. We intervene in education, we intervene in health, we intervene in agriculture, as well as small and medium enterprises.
I'm Habiba Mohammed, Managing Director, sir. Can you highlight progress made so far in deploying solar mini-grid to universities, hospitals, and others? And what benefit these projects brought to these institutions?
Yeah, the Nigerian education program is a specialized program that we designed, which specifically focuses on providing reliability, cost-effective electricity in different federal institutions. In fact, now we are even going to start intervening in not only the universities, but polytechnics and college of educations. And we implement it in different phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. We just completed phase 2, where we intervene in 7 universities and 2 teaching hospitals, of which University of Maiduguri, it's the beneficiaries of the biggest of the phase 2 intervention, where we deployed 12 megawatts. Other universities under the phase 2 that benefited include Nigerian Defense Academy, which we have just commissioned the project at 30 megawatt capacity. There is also University of Calabar with the teaching hospital where we deployed 7 megawatt. There is also University of Gashua in Yobe where we deployed 1.5 megawatt. There is also Federal University of Agriculture in Ondo Akure where also we deployed another 30 megawatt. So this 7 institution has already been completed. And as we are completing these 7 universities, we have now started another round of 8 more universities. This includes Federal University of Port Harcourt with the teaching hospital, Federal University Lafia, Lokoja, Federal University of Technology, Imo Owerri State, Federal University of Technology, Yola, and also another one in Katsina, Dusemba. So these 8 universities are also about to be completed. As we are also completing this round of the 8 universities and 1 teaching hospital, we have now in the process of designing another intervention in another 8 universities, which include Ovapemi Awolowo, University of Ibadan and the Teaching Hospital, University of Lagos, University, Ahmadu Bello University, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, University of Benin, Federal University Wukari Taraba, Federal University Dutse in Jigawa State. So this, we are in the process of designing the intervention. We just signed collaborative agreement with the university. So this is what the government of Mr. President is currently doing in this regard, intervening in the education sector. In each of these universities, we also construct a world-class training center where we equip it with renewable equipment that will provide an opportunity for the university to continue to have opportunities to teach the students that are in that university in all the technical knowledge and competences in renewable engineering. We also involve 20 female students from soil testing to the commissioning, thereby creating a talent pipeline of technical skill and competencies in the renewable space. So this is what we are doing, and we continue to do it to ensure that we provide reliability, we provide cost-effective, we provide sustainable electricity at the universities. We also build a talent pipeline that will continue to make Nigeria to be the renewable hub of West Africa.
My name is Engineer Nasru Omar Chawe. How does the RE prioritize rural communities for electrification, and what innovative approaches are being used to reach these areas?
So how we prioritize that started on the basis of the Electrification Act that Mr. President signed. The Electrification Act of 2023 made it very clear that the Rural Electrification Agency should be the custodian of the National Electrification Strategy and Implementation Plan. And the Honorable Minister of Power made it a key performance area for Rural Electrification Agency to come up with that National Electrification Strategy and Implementation Plan. Now, what we did with that plan is to geomap the entire country. Geomapping the country, it's in such a way that we identify where are these so-called communities that are without this electrification. We intervene based on the communities that we can provide this electricity and give us the best possible outcome. So this is what we have. Currently, our Rural Electrification Agency have identified all the communities in the country that are without electricity. We also have the data of all the communities in the country that have unreliable supply. We also have data of this number of households in this community. We have data of the number of people that are in this community. We have current energy demand of this community and the projection in the next 5 years. We also know what is the least cost of providing them this electricity means that what should be the best economically most efficient way of electrifying them? Should we just extend the grid or provide them using solar house system, or should we provide an interconnected mini grid? All this data, it's what we have it at the moment, and this is what we are using to prioritize the different communities that we are intervening based on the available funding that we have.
My name is Mohamed Goni. My question goes to the manager, director. What are the projections of renewable energy growth in Nigeria over the next 5 years? And what role do you see the solar energy playing in the country?
The policy, the Nigerian policy is very clear. We want to generate 30 gigawatt of electricity. We want the renewable energy contributing 30% of our total portfolio in the country, and that is a clear also target given to us by the Honorable Minister of Power. We, in terms of how we see the renewable energy in the next 5 years, it's very clear. The Honorable Minister of Power has mandated the Rural Electrification Agency to catalyze both the private sector using the available public sector to make Nigeria to be the renewable hub of Africa. One of the key achievement under the leadership of Mr. President is the signing of the $750 million public sector funding that has been signed, which we expected to catalyze a private sector funding of 1.1 billion. This is the biggest public sector renewable project in the entire world. And we want to leverage on that funding to electrify 17.5 million Nigeria. So in the next 5 years, we want to see that we electrify more than half of the total people that are without access. And at the same time, as we are creating access for those without access, we are also using interconnected mini grid to create reliability for those that are without reliability. We at the moment had already started deployment of 42 interconnected mini grid across the country. You are working with 7 distribution companies, and this is to create reliability for those without. So, and another thing that we foresee in the next 5 years when it comes to renewable space is the localization and creating manufacturing base of renewable product in the country. This is something that had already started. At the moment, the country has capacity to manufacture or assemble 600 megawatts of PV panels in country. We have different companies that are Nigerian based, equity or debt funded, that are now manufacturing PV panels. There's Levin in Lagos, Ikotun, that has 100 megawatt capacity. There's JRV in Abuja that has 250 megawatt capacity. There's Oxano in Lagos that has also 120 megawatt capacity. There's Grid Connect that is in the process of deploying 150 megawatt capacity. We also see projecting in the next 5 years for us to be more ambitious, more audacious when it comes to the building talent pipeline in the country. We have commissioned currently a tier 1 consulting company that is doing feasibility assessment for the establishment of renewable university. The first of it is kind in Africa, here in Nigeria. This is a way of us to make us, reposition us to be the renewable hub, where only green courses will be taught at that university, and we expect this university to serve not only Nigeria but the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. So this is something also that we are looking at in the next 1 year.
My name is Osakwe Vincent. My question to the MD is, what has been the cumulative output of the projects, the power output of the project of the RE in recent time, and how has it been able to impact the energy in Nigeria sector?
Combine the capacities of our isolated mini grid, interconnected mini grid, capacities of our grid extension. We are looking at close to 500 megawatts that we have added from the beginning to date. And all these capacities, their impact is, if you go to rural areas and see how they are catalyzing changing the livelihoods of rural communities, how they are crystallizing socio-economic activities. We commission an interconnected mini-grid of 1 megawatt capacity in a community bordering Lagos and Ogun State called Ibaragun, where now the entire community's life has transformed.
My name is Ahmed Ibrahim Safana from Katsina State. MD sir, my question is, what prospect did you see in renewable energy and abundant sunlight and wind in Katsina State, and what promising do we expect to have a kind of renewable energy in Katsina State?
To answer the question as regards to, yes, we have the plan to look at other renewable sources, be it wind, be it biomass, be it small micro hydro generation sources. For the wind, what we are looking at, it's looking at small wind technology that are economically viable, which, because we are very conscious of the tariff, any infrastructure or technology that we would deploy, we want to be sure that the tariff, it's a tariff that the people can pay. So we are looking at that technology that it's cost effective, which means that the tariff will be affordable. That is it. But I also tell you, we are now working with UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and a body of the United Nations to deploy a micro hybrid dam project in Balanga in Gombe State. That project had already started. We are looking at deploying solar and micro hydro project of about 380 kilowatt capacity.
My name is Alexander Oluwamuyiwa Osho, Alex Osho. How is REA leveraging on modern technology and innovations such as energy storage and smart grids to enhance the efficiency and reliability of renewable energy projects in Nigeria?
A very important question, and I would want to answer that by saying that in the renewable space in the entire Africa, there's no agency that is leveraging technology like Rural Electrification Agency. All our infrastructures, they have the AMI connected. We see all our mini grids. We optimize our mini grids. We have the energy management system, which is like the control room of energy in the country, in Rural Electrification Agency's headquarters, where we see all these mini grids, we see their functionalities, we optimize them from there. Each day we can see what is the generation capacity of our mini grids, what are if there's any commercial losses, we can see where it's coming from and we go and address it. In all the areas we deploy our mini grids, we deploy 100% smart meters. We deploy SCADA system to enable us communicate not only with the power plant, but also with the point of sale, the household that we connect, so that if there's any bypass, we easily pick it from the moment and be able to address. And that is what why our collection, it's more than 95%, because of the technology that we deploy to be able to monitor the effectiveness of our power plants.
I am Achanya Julian Onoja from Makudi, the Benue State capital, the MD Rural Electrification Agency. Can you highlight some of the key partnerships and collaboration that the REA has established to ensure the support and development of the renewable power projects in Nigeria?
Our plan is very clear. We want to continue to catalyze funding into the space, both private and public sector funding. Once we catalyze any private public funding, we also work towards catalyzing commensurate private sector funding. So first, for example, I told you we were able to get the presidential approval of the $750 million, which has already been catalyzed, out of which we now are working to catalyze a private sector funding of $1.1 billion US. We are also working for additional co-finance of that funding from the Japanese government under the JICA program, another additional funding of about $200 million, which will catalyze another private sector funding of close to $420 million US. We are working also, if you are following the president's visit to Tanzania, where the Mission 300 was launched by the African Development Bank and the World Bank, one of the key outcomes of Mr. President's visit is the potential catalyzing of additional funding of $700 million from African Development Bank under the Desert to Power program. That is something also that will come in, and we are also working to see that catalyzing about $1.02 billion US. So we have the plan to continue to get this, both public and private sector funding, so that we totally address the electricity access challenge in the country. The second is the operational framework of that, because when you have the funding, you need to have a vehicle that will take the funding and ensure that we utilize the funding based on what it is meant to be done. And that is why we created the concept of RESCO, Renewable Energy Service Company. These are companies that we see them to complement the effort of the distribution companies. They are local companies that have built technical skills and experience in deploying these renewable infrastructures. Not only that, they have also acquired experience in attracting private funding. Still, I refer you to the Mr. President visit to Tanzania. One of still the outcome was the signing of $20 million debt financing to 4 of the Nigerian local companies. And this shows you how matured our renewable energy service company have gone, to the extent that they can attract that kind of funding from International Finance Corporation, IFC. So this is the second level of it. The third is also designing the program, clearly focusing our intervention into key areas. I told you that we intervene in the education, we intervene in health, we intervene in agriculture. We mapped the agricultural clusters and processing areas, and we now channel our funding, the private sector, the RESCOs, to now provide mini-grids to these clusters with a view to increase production and reduce losses. This is something that is already ongoing. So this is something that also we are doing in that plan. Then lastly is the skill, and that is why we now design the RESCO Next. We are going to launch 120 youth that are going to undergo first of its kind, a whole year training, which is not just a classroom training, but training and internship, paid internship with the Renewable Energy Service Company, and at the end of the day be absorbed automatically with an employment by the RESCOs.
And so the questions have come from people who have links to rural and unserved areas, nooks and crannies like we call it. But one thing is still certain: renewable energy is revolutionizing the way we power our homes, institutions, how about hospitals, industries and transportation systems. From solar and wind power to hydro and geothermal energy, the future is bright with clean energy sources. Our dear country, Nigeria, is not left behind in utilizing renewable energy to reshape a certain and sustainable future, driving economic growth, creating jobs, and improving the quality of life for communities nationwide. Why not keep a date with us same time next week? I'm Ayodeji Makinde, and this is Reshaping Democracy. Bye-bye.